everywhere. I mean, there are pallet guys. They're just, everything is so spread out, it's a pain in the butt.
Half a day or a day to get it.
Right, and then we had to buy Gaylord boxes, big boxes.
Gaylord boxes are 4x4x4 boxes.
Yeah, huge boxes, so you can put a bunch of loose books in there, maybe get 800 in a box, for those of you that don't know. So that was a nightmare putting that side together. And then it turns out the dock where the elevator went down to, well, it's a little dock and everything, but the problem is it goes to a parking lot. And getting a freight truck into that parking lot turned out to be an absolute nightmare.
Why was that?
Well, first of all, we had to kick everybody's car out of that lot that lived there, and they were not happy about that.
I bet.
Secondly, it turns out the dock was, was about 6 inches shorter than the lip of any standard freight truck.
Oh, boy. No dock plate.
And we had no dock plate. So, So Wednesday, what was it?
That was Tuesday.
So Wednesday morning, I show up.
And you're going to get these books out by Thursday evening.
Thursday midday was the deal, I guess. I think I was flying back that night. So I show up there on Wednesday morning. The trucker's not there. He was supposed to be there in the morning so we can begin loading. I pick up some local workers where I found at the Home Depot there where they line up to take jobs.
Oh, you didn't get guys off of Skid Row?
No, I did not. I don't think that they would be able to focus for very long, the people I saw.
I see. Okay.
So I think I hired 4 guys to help Chris and I had to train them as to how to, haul boxes out of rooms and how to pack books in a big Gaylord box.
Spot labor.
And so we're making these big pallets. I had to get a pallet jack also, come to think of it. I had to rent a pallet jack.
Oh, I didn't realize that. You rented a pallet jack.
Shrink wrap. It was just it was a cluster.
Did you fit the pallet jack into your cargo van, or did they deliver the pallet jack?
I think I picked it up at a rental center in my cargo van.
And you put it in your cargo van.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Wow. Yeah, and they were supposed to deliver boxes, and the boxes never showed up at 9 a.m. They never showed up at 10 a.m. They never showed up at 12 p.m. at noon.
Where were the boxes?
Well, the boxes were out on the truck, and allegedly the truck broke down. And so we're waiting for delivery of, I think, 500 boxes, which never showed up to pack the loose books.
Good Lord.
And so I eventually had to go at noon and buy boxes at a box place and leave. The guys, meanwhile, were making skids with already boxed books. So we're bringing these skids down to this little dock, and you fit 4 or 5 skids down there, and then you're in trouble because there's no more room for skids. And we got to keep moving because we're going to have 30 skids when this is all done.
And is the freight truck sitting at the dock?
No freight truck.
No
freight truck.
Is Chris helping you manage this?
Chris is doing a great job as always.
Okay.
I love that guy. He's the best.
So
he's actually a human geneticist that doubles as my spot labor when I need him in Los Angeles. He's the greatest guy in the world.
All right. So you were able to go off and take care of other business while he managed the laborers.
He managed those guys pretty well. So they were still making up these pallets of the boxed books because I had pallets. So finally I get boxes, and now it's, I think, probably 3 in the afternoon. No truck yet. No freight truck. The freight truck shows up, and this is when we discover about the issue with the height of the dock. And there's no way in hell you can then get the pallets into the truck because we don't have a dock plate.
Wow.
Which would be a nice metal ramp. So fortunately, in the parking lot area were some garbage bins, and this trucker, the first trucker that they sent out, was like MacGyver. He finds these 2 massive planks of plywood, or I don't know, even plywood. They were planks of wood, and then he found some plywood, and he constructed a ramp. And so Chris and I and this trucker, 2 of us would push up this horrible ramp, and one of us would pull it in the truck, and then the ramp would break, and you'd have to rebuild the ramp. And so we got, I think 14 in that first
perpetually disintegrating ramp.
Yeah, and you pull one in.
This is Sisyphean, if there is such a word.
Oh, it was awful. It was god awful. So I think they were pup trucks. So I think we got maybe 14 in a truck. We got 14.
Wow. So
we got 10.
The trucker was there for 2.5, 3 hours while you're loading.
Yeah, it was hell and misery. It was awful.
And of course, it was it brutally hot in LA that day? Was everybody?
It wasn't brutally hot. It was hot. We were sweating.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Right.
I mean, the whole ramp thing was the worst situation
That's
in the world.
crazy.
So I think that day we loaded up about 22 pallets worth of books in 2 trucks. Then, actually, the second trucker that showed up that day had a very bad illness, and he couldn't help us at all.
What kind of illness? Like respiratory?
I don't know. He looked like he got ran over by a truck himself, and it was so we're there. Chris and I have no third guy to help us, so we're really busting our humps because the other guys are upstairs making a pallet.
You're using the ramp on the second truck.
Yeah, we're using a ramp on the second truck, and it's busting every time. So, anyways, this guy isn't helping us. It's Chris and I pulling up, and it was the hardest work any of us had done in our lives. And I actually went to go talk to the trucker, and I go to the front where the cab is, and he has curtains over every single window of his truck. He's completely blocked himself in, and he's sleeping in the truck, unable to help us at all. I don't know. I think he vomited at one point when we saw him.
Oh, boy.
But there was vomit everywhere anyway, so it didn't much matter.
Oh, my God. It is Skid Row after all.
It is Skid Row. So we woke him up finally when we loaded that truck. Sent him on his way. By now it's I think 8 o'clock at night. I mean, we had worked 12, well,
the
10 solid hours.
The second truck was filled and on its way.
Yeah, and now we still had probably another 10 pallets worth to go the next morning.
Man.
So I had to make a decision whether I was going to hire any more guys or do it ourselves. Just Chris and I decided I think Chris and I could do it. And
so you sent the guys home?
I sent the guys home. I dropped them off at the Home Depot.
Don't come back tomorrow.
Gave them a lot of cash. Huh. They were happy. Actually, one of the guys, to backtrack a little bit, we brought 5 guys originally. One of the guys got scared of the job and left before we even began.
That's ridiculous.
He saw what it entailed, that he said, I cannot do this, and he left.
Now, that's just more bizarre than I can ever imagine. All the spot laborers I've ever had were so cocky and confident that scared me.
Right. Now this guy's never seen anything like this. Most people have never done a job like this. I mean, what we do is completely insane.
Sure,
sometimes,
absolutely.
So Chris and I had
now you had the elevator, so you didn't have to go up and down stairs.
We didn't have to go up and down stairs. That's true.
But the ramp of death was
oh my God,
was the real onus.
So the next morning, I actually bought a nice sheet of plywood, and Chris and I went back, and now that I felt a little more confident, and he and I banged out those last 10 pallets in about probably 2.5 to 3 hours.
That's
now,
incredible.
In the meantime,
that's fast.
We're getting a lot of lip from the residents who are angry because we spotted some pallets overnight in their hallway, and they didn't like that. And the superintendent of the building starting to get angry with us because we're making noise in the elevator and a lot of pressure. And I'm
Who do you think you are?
I'm like, look, I promise we'll be done by 2 in the afternoon. Please, just let me finish.
There's a fruit basket with your name on it. If you just calm down.
Exactly. So Chris and I they send a pup truck at I think 12 noon or I can't remember 1 o'clock now we're on Thursday and we're gonna finish. This is great. And so we get the thing loaded. There's, I think, 10 skids in there, and there's 11th to go in or something like that. And Chris and I are beat. We're beat. We can barely get this last skid in. So he's pulling up the ramp, and we can't. So we go back down the ramp.
Oh, no.
And then we stop down at the bottom of the ramp, and we're gonna go one more try. But my idea is I'm going to go forward first to give myself a little more space and then pull up, and he's going to push. So he doesn't expect me to go forward, and he's at the end of the pallet. And I, of course, run over his foot.
Oh, no.
With a 1,000-pound pallet on the very last pallet of the job. Oh, my God.
Did he call the ambulance?
I thought I broke bones in his foot. I apparently didn't. But it was the worst I'd felt in a long,
Was he
long,
limping around?
He's limping and wincing in pain, screaming, angry.
Wow, that's terrible.
Hurt. I felt terrible. That was the low point of the whole trip at that point because we were just about done. We were just about getting happy, and then I ran over his foot.
Holy cow! Now, I feel bad about Chris's foot, but did you get that last pallet on the truck?
We mustered up every bit of our strength.
He didn't give up. He went
for
that extra mile for it.
I love that guy.
Man,
he's the greatest.
That's awesome.
We put it up in that truck.
So with the new plywood, it wasn't disintegrating every.
No, the new
run.
plywood was great. It was wonderful. I should have bought it the first day. I didn't think of it. Didn't have the time. So we finished by Thursday, as I stated to the woman. We paid her. It was a done deal. And
three truckloads heading back to Cleveland.
30. I think we ended up with 34 pallets of books.
Now, I take it you didn't just go back to Chris's place and lick your wounds and weep. Did you reward yourself a little bit that night?
That night we did go to Sasabune, which is one of our favorite sushi joints in L.A. There's actually a new location down the street from where it used to be. That dinner was sort of a blur at this point. Not only because we didn't drink that much.
You were numb from the exhaustion.
Yeah, we were just as human beings. It felt like we'd been through a war. I know it's only moving books, but it was physically, mentally, and emotionally the most drained I think both of us had ever been.
Wow, incredible! And the books got to our offices 5 days later?
5 days later, 32 pallets of books.
Just as you stacked them, huh?
Yeah, you know what? They actually came through nicely. I don't think any toppled over.
Excellent. And we've yet to process some of those books. How much have we handled since receiving them?
I think we've handled about a pallet and a half worth.
Okay.
So I think we got about 25,000 more to handle. We don't know what's in there yet.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, sorry to hear that it was such a tough job, but we run into this once in a while. You can't foresee every aspect of a job, and you got to get the books out. So a disintegrating pallet, that's a new one for me.
A disintegrating pallet or disintegrating
ramp?
Yeah.
Disintegrating ramp, that's a new one for me.
Yeah, it was awful. I'm glad it's done.
Wow, well, thanks for sharing that with us, and I'm going to have to check out Sasabune next time I'm in LA.
Yeah, it's really a great joint.
In our next episode, we'll be talking about our adventures in Queens, New York with a schizophrenic fellow named Paul, who we worked with and around in procuring about 3,000 books from a little house that was loaded to the gills with books.
It was a great adventure. I think you're all going to want to hear about it. We'll also be talking a little more about the history of the company and some current events in the book world, in our book world. And I think that's about it for this second installment.
That's it. Take care. Just remember, good books sell themselves, and Zubul knows good books.
And don't buy from bookjackers. Bye-bye.
Book Brothers is produced at the Zubul Books Warehouse and Offices, 2969 West 25th Street, Cleveland, Ohio. Musical introduction, interludes, and outro are written and performed by Slap, Cleveland's premier jazz trio. slapjazz.com. All rights reserved.